Did you know there were muscle cars in the 1960s so rare that today they seem almost like urban legends? Cars created quietly for NASCAR, wild machines hidden in dealerships, special versions produced in ultra-low numbers. Welcome to a golden era of American automotive history, where every single horsepower counted and every unit built could become an unrepeatable gem. If you love American classics, wild V8 engines, limited editions, and stories that only a few know, this video is for you. I promise you a strong dose of nostalgia, torque, and adrenaline. So if you're the kind of person who feels a rush with every engine start, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. You're not just on any channel, you're on one where history on wheels comes to life. Let's discover together the rarest cars of the 1960s. 1969, Buick Skyllock GS, Stage 1. Sometimes, true power doesn't come wrapped in noise or exaggeration. Sometimes, it's just there, hidden, silent, dressed in silk, waiting for someone with a trained eye to notice it. That was the Skyllock GS Stage 1, a car that moved like a shark in a tuxedo. Many saw it as just another luxury coupe of the era. Comfortable, elegant, well-built. But those who knew, those who truly understood cars, recognized something different in it. This wasn't just any Skylock. It was a fierce wolf disguised as an executive, and very few had the privilege of owning one. It's estimated that fewer than 1,400 units were built with the Stage 1 package that year, making it an extremely rare piece. The secret was under the hood. This Buick hit a 455 cubic inch V8 that, with the Stage 1 package, delivered 390 horsepower and a torque figure that nearly tore the pavement over 500 pound-foot. It had so much pulling power, it felt like the car moved forward just by thinking about it. Many muscle cars made noise. This one simply growled and vanished. But beyond the numbers, what made the GS Stage 1 truly special was its balance. Buick managed to combine luxury, comfort, and raw mechanical brutality into a single vehicle. It had refined suspension, plush seats, power steering, air conditioning, and at the same time, it could leave a Chevelle SS 396 behind without breaking a sweat. It was, quite literally, the muscle car for those who no longer needed to prove anything, and here's a detail very few people know. In 1969, this model was launched with such a low profile that even dealerships didn't know how to sell it. Many didn't even have it on display. That's why today it's a hidden gem, a car that wasn't shown off. It was passed down. It was the secret weapon of the elegant guy who knew exactly what he wanted. 1969, Chrysler 300 Hurst. Imagine walking into a boardroom in a tux and suddenly throwing a chair out the window before taking off running. Exactly that, is what it felt like to drive a 300 Hurst. A beast disguised as a gentleman, a car that seemed tailor-made for company executives who kept racing helmets in the trunk. Only 485 units were ever built, all born from a collaboration as unexpected as it was explosive between Chrysler and Hurst Performance. The legendary company known for transmissions and muscle car tuning. What they wanted wasn't a car for everyone. They wanted to make a statement of power for the kind of person who could afford a Cadillac, but chose something that could also intimidate. The body of the 300 Hurst said it all. A colossus nearly 20 feet long with a bulging hood, pearl white paint with gold striping, and a rear spoiler integrated into the body that looked more like a piece of sculpture than an aerodynamic accessory. It was impossible not to look twice. This wasn't a car that blended in, and it didn't care. Under that hood lived a 440 cubic inch Magnum 5.8, capable of delivering 375 horsepower and a roar that was more felt than heard. The Hurst 300 wasn't built to compete. It was built to dominate. But the most surprising thing was the contrast inside. Bucket seats with integrated headrests, wood grain trim, a full-length center console. It felt like a luxury lounge at full throttle. In your hands, you had a muscle car dressed for a board meeting, and that was part of its magic. that clash of two worlds, power and elegance, that very few cars have ever managed to balance so well. A little-known curiosity: many of these 300 Hurst models were used as promotional vehicles by Hurst and Miss Hurst Golden Shifter, a well-known promotional figure in the racing world. Some were even sent to Chrysler executives as corporate gifts, reinforcing their aura of total exclusivity. 1967 to 69 Chevrolet Impala SS 427Z24. Some cars scream that they're fast. They do it with wings, stripes, fake scoops, and colors pulled straight from a drag strip. But others prefer silence. Until you press the accelerator, the Impala SS was exactly that. An elegant giant with the soul of a beast, one of American automotive history's best-kept secrets. At first glance, it was just an Impala. Long body, clean lines, chrome trim, and a presence that commanded respect, but not suspicion. And that's what made it deadly, because the Z24 wasn't just any Impala. It was the top of the line, the most powerful, the rarest, and the most misunderstood. The SS427D24 package was a subtle option, and that's precisely why production was so limited. There's no official number, but it's estimated that only a few thousand were made, especially in their purest configuration, with a manual transmission and no extra frills. Today, finding an original one is like discovering a hand-signed piece of art. Beneath the hood beat a 427 cubic inch V8, capable of delivering up to 425 horsepower in its most extreme version. And even though the Impala weighed over 2 tons, that power pushed it forward with brute force, easily outrunning much lighter cars. It was a muscle car in executive sedan disguise, a true sleeper, but the most interesting part was that duality. You could use it to take the family out to dinner on a Friday night with the AC on and the radio playing softly, and the next day line up at the quarter-mile strip and leave everyone asking, "What the hell is in that Impala?" In 1967, the first year of the Z24, Chevrolet tried to position it as a refined option for those who wanted performance without sacrificing comfort. But internal competition with the Chevelle SS and Camaro Z/28 pushed it into the background. The result: low demand, limited production, and a future as a full-blown cult classic. And now I ask you, gearhead to gearhead, have you ever seen one of these Z24s in person? Did you know about this beastly version of the Impala? Drop it in the comments. Your memories, your opinions, your stories, they're what turned this channel into a real community of passionate classic car lovers. 1969 Mercury Cyclone Spoiler 2. Not all cars are born to be admired in showrooms. Some are born to race, to be pushed to the edge, to scream into the wind and never look back. And this car was exactly that, a machine designed in the shadows, fine-tuned in wind tunnels, and unleashed onto the road with a single objective: to dominate NASCAR. Only 351 units were ever built, not because no one wanted it, but because the rules required it. The regulation was clear. If you wanted to race a model on the track, you had to sell at least 500 on the street. Mercury, along with Ford, Dodge, and Plymouth, was locked in an all-out aerodynamic war. And the Spoiler 2 was their secret weapon, their camouflaged missile. Its silhouette said it all: an extended hood with a pointed nose, a recessed grille, and a front end shaped to slice through the air like a blade. Unlike classic muscle cars with bulging lines, the Spoiler 2 was a wheeled arrow, designed specifically to reduce drag and increase straight-line speed. Under the hood lived a 428 cubic inch V8 that, in the street version, delivered 375 horsepower, though many were tuned to go far beyond that. It came with either a 4-speed manual or automatic transmission, depending on the order. But what really set it apart wasn't the power, it was the aerodynamic efficiency, which allowed it to fly down long tracks like Talladega or Daytona. And here's a fascinating detail: the Spoiler 2 was so purpose-built that many dealerships didn't even know how to sell it. Some ended up forgotten in backlots, Others fell into the hands of amateur racers. Today, finding one in original condition is like uncovering a classified Cold War document. That's why this isn't just a rare car, it's a street-legal race tool, a piece of NASCAR history that few even know exists. A car that wasn't born to look good, it was born to win. 1968 to 69, AMC AMX 390 Go Package. When people talk about American muscle cars from the 1960s, the same names usually come up: Mustang, Camaro, Charger. But there's one that always flies under the radar, despite having power, attitude, and a fiercely competitive spirit. I'm talking about the AMC AMX, especially in its 390 Go Package version, produced between 1968 and 1969. AMC, the American Motors Corporation, wasn't exactly known for wild cars. Their strength was in family sedans and budget-friendly models, but for one brief and glorious moment, they broke the mold. The AMX was their declaration of war against conformity. Compact, two-seater, no compromises, it was designed to prove that even a small brand could build a fast, bold, and provocative car. The 390-gigabyte package was the crown jewel. Under its hood was a 390 cubic inch V8 making 315 horsepower, a more than respectable figure in a car that weighed less than most of its rivals. And it wasn't just about power. The package included upgraded suspension, a limited slip differential, improved brakes, dual exhaust, and a more aggressive aesthetic with stripes and signature emblems. One of the things that made the AMX so special was its focus. Unlike most muscle cars, this wasn't a car for family outings. It only had two seats. AMC envisioned it as a purist's car, a blend of European-style sports coupe with raw American muscle. And for a while, it worked. Between 1968 and 1969, only a few thousand units were made with the 390 Go package. But what really makes it rare today is that very few survived. Many were modified, wrecked on the track, or simply forgotten. Its low commercial profile was its downfall, and its legend. Even in its time, the AMX was underestimated. It won awards, broke acceleration records, and still never got the recognition it truly deserved. It was the car for the guy who didn't want what everyone else had, for the one who wanted power, without the crowds. 1964, Ford Fairlane Thunderbolt. Some cars are built to appeal, to impress, to sell in large numbers. And then there's the Fairlane Thunderbolt, a car that wasn't created for the streets or for the general public, but for the strip, for the drag strip, to crush stopwatches and obliterate rivals without asking permission. Ford only built 100 units of this monster because that was the minimum required for NHRA homologation. The National Hot Rod Association's rulebook didn't leave room for vanity. You won't find it in luxury ads or mainstream commercials. The Thunderbolt was a secret weapon, handed directly to professional racers and private teams ready to compete and win. The base was the Ford Fairlane, a compact car by the standards of the time. But that's where the similarities ended. Ford took that body and radically transformed it. They swapped panels for fiberglass, removed sound insulation, stripped out the heater, the radio, and any component that didn't serve one single purpose: straight-line speed. The result was an uncompromising, ultra-lightweight car with brutal acceleration. Under the hood, the Thunderbolt hit a 427 high-riser V8, 427 cubic inches, equipped with dual Holley 4-barrel carburetors mounted on a high-rise aluminum intake, producing around 425 horsepower, though everyone knew that number was conservative. The reality? It could destroy a quarter-mile in under 11 seconds in 1964. Every detail was engineered for performance, from the air intake in the headlight, designed to channel oxygen directly into the engine, to the racing tires and the battery relocated to the trunk for better weight distribution. Even the wiring was simplified, as if every extra wire was a sin against speed. And although it was a complete success on the strip, the Thunderbolt was never meant to last. Many were dismantled, rebuilt, wrecked in competition, or simply abandoned after their racing cycles ended. Today, the few survivors are priceless relics, hunted down by collectors who understand that this car wasn't a trend, it was a statement. So now, I want to ask you, someone who knows what it's like to feel adrenaline just from the sound of an engine firing up, had you ever heard of the Thunderbolt? Do you think a car this wild could even be built today? Drop it in the comments. 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona. Sometimes to win, you have to break all the rules. And that's exactly what Dodge did in 1969 when it unleashed the Daytona on the world. This wasn't just a car, it was a declaration of speed, an aerodynamic war cry, a missile on wheels built with one purpose only: to dominate NASCAR. Only 503 units were built to satisfy the category's homologation rule. But every one of them looked more like a prototype than a production car. Its radical design was mocked by some and worshipped by others. Today, it's an undisputed legend. The most striking and revolutionary feature was its pointed front end, the now famous aerodynamic nose cone that replaced the Charger's traditional grille. This fiberglass cone drastically reduced wind resistance, allowing it to reach speeds its rivals simply couldn't match. But that wasn't all. Its massive rear wing, mounted nearly a meter above the trunk, wasn't just for show. It was carefully calculated to create real downforce at high speeds, keeping the car glued to the pavement on long oval tracks like Talladega and Daytona. Underneath that extreme bodywork lived a mechanical beast. Most Daytonas came from the factory with the 440 Magnum V8 440 cubic inches, delivering about 375 horsepower, but a select few were equipped with the legendary 426 Hemi, cranking out 425 horsepower. Raw, reliable power built to withstand the brutal heat of racing. The Daytona wasn't for just anyone. It was huge, hard to drive in the city, nearly impossible to park, and drew way too much attention in a world not yet ready for wings on streetcars. But on the track, it was unbeatable. With it, Dodge became the first manufacturer to break the 200-mile-per-hour barrier on a NASCAR circuit, and that's why the Charger Daytona became one of the most revered muscle cars in history. Not because it was pretty, not because it was comfortable, but because it was effective, fearless, and unforgettable. It wasn't built to please, it was built to win. 1965 to 66. Pontiac Catalina 2+2 421. In the midst of the muscle car explosion in the mid-1960s, while all the spotlight was on the GTO, the Chevelle SS, or the Mustang GT, Pontiac had another ace up its sleeve, a bigger, more powerful car. With a less flashy but equally wild character, the Catalina 2+2 with the 421 HO engine. Available for a short time between 1965 and 1966, this sporty version of the Catalina was a kind of full-size muscle car, designed for those who wanted high performance without giving up space, luxury, and dominant presence. At a time when compact cars were becoming trendy, the 2+2 was a bold and defiant answer that went against the current. The heart of this beast was a 421 cubic inch V8 equipped with a high output package, reaching an impressive 376 horsepower and over 428 pound-feet of torque, depending on the exact configuration. It was raw power channeled through a 4-speed manual or a superhydromatic automatic transmission, with torque delivery that pushed like a freight train. And that was the real charm of the Catalina 2+2. It didn't look like a race car, but it could act like one. Its size was deceiving. It had stiffer suspension, dual exhausts, upgraded brakes, and details like exclusive trim, 2+2 badges, and optional sport seats that reminded you this wasn't just another sedan. The most curious part of this model is that many of the most extreme examples didn't come straight from the factory, but from Pontiac dealerships that modified them with high-performance parts, triple-barrel tri-power carburetors, upgraded intakes, and unique visual touches. That's why, to this day, it's hard to know how many authentic 2+2 HOs exist and how many were special dealer-built configurations. That only adds to its mystique. Maybe it never got the marketing push it deserved, overshadowed by the fame of the GTO. But among those in the know, the Catalina 2+2 has always been an imposing, precise, and fierce machine. A car for people who didn't need to prove anything, just press the gas and leave everything behind. 1963 to 64. Plymouth Belvadier Max Wedge. There was a moment in the early 1960s when Plymouth stopped caring about comfort, style, or luxury and became obsessed with just one thing: crossing the quarter-mile faster than anyone else. That's how the brutal and legendary Belvadier Max Wedge was born. One of the most extreme muscle cars ever made in limited production. Between 1963 and 1964, fewer than 300 units of the Belvadier were produced equipped with the fearsome 426 Max Wedge engine, a high-performance V8, born directly from Chrysler's endurance racing experience. This wasn't a car for the streets. It was a war machine built to destroy stopwatches, with the aggression of a jackhammer and the precision of a missile. The engine was a 426 cubic inch V8 with redesigned cylinder heads, optimized combustion chambers, and high-flow intake. Depending on configuration, it produced between 415 and 425 horsepower, though it was well known that with the right tuning, it could produce far more. But what truly impressed wasn't just the raw power, it was how it delivered it. The Belvadier Max Wedge was light for its size, partly because it was stripped of everything unnecessary. No heater, no radio, no frills. Even the passenger seat was optional. All that weight savings, combined with brutal torque and aggressive gear ratios, allowed it to blast through the quarter mile in under 12 seconds. An insane number for its time. Visually, it was discreet, almost modest, but those who knew what to look for saw the massive air scoops, the raised intakes, the unfiltered roar of the dual exhaust. This wasn't a car trying to look fast. It was fast, and that was enough. And the most fascinating part, each unit was treated like a race car. Plymouth didn't market them as daily drivers or family vehicles. They were sold to racers, independent teams, and performance dealers with a clear mission: dominate the drag strip. And for a short but furious period, they did exactly that. Today, finding an original Belvadier Max Wedge is almost impossible. Those that survive are treated like sacred relics, reminders of a time when American car makers were willing to do anything for a tenth of a second less. And now tell me, had you ever heard of this hidden monster from the 60s? Do you remember seeing one in person or at the track? Your comment might awaken someone else's memory. So scroll down, type it out, and share your thoughts with this community of classic car lovers. 1963 Chevrolet Corvette Z06. When we talk about the Corvette, we immediately think of American elegance, bold design, and performance. But within its long history, there's a chapter only the most passionate enthusiasts know about. In 1963, alongside the debut of the legendary split window, Chevrolet quietly released a special variant, not built to turn heads, but to dominate the track, the Corvette Z06. Only 199 units were produced with this package in an almost silent but completely intentional move. At the time, the FIA had banned manufacturers from officially competing in certain racing categories, but Zora Arkus Duntov, the father of the modern Corvette, wasn't about to sit back and watch. The Z06 was his covert response, a street-legal car with a track soul. Visually, the Z06 looked just like any other 1963 Corvette coupe, wearing that unforgettable rear split window that existed for only 1 year. But under the surface, everything changed. It came equipped with a race-bred package that included heavy-duty drum brakes with special cooling ducts, upgraded suspension, reinforced stabilizer bars, and most impressively, a 36-gallon fuel tank, designed to endure long-distance racing without constant pit stops. The engine was the formidable 327 cubic inch L84 V8, with mechanical Rochester fuel injection, producing 360 horsepower, an impressive figure for such a compact and lightweight car. Mated to a 4-speed manual transmission and a chassis fine-tuned for the circuit, the Z06 was pure control, precision, and fury. What's interesting is that Chevrolet never openly marketed this version. The Z06 was a hidden option, almost a secret, aimed at true enthusiasts and private racers who knew exactly what they were looking for. Many of these cars went directly into the hands of SCCA, Sports Car Club of America, drivers, where they quickly started turning heads and winning races. Over time, this version became one of the most coveted C2 Corvettes, not just for its rarity, but because it represents a time when engineers found creative ways to beat restrictions. It was a car made by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. And there you have them, true gems of the 1960s, often forgotten, but absolutely unforgettable to those who look beyond the standard catalog. Cars built with purpose, with passion, with rage, and with vision. Some were racing missiles, others nearly secret editions, all of them one of a kind. And now, it's your turn. Which of these models surprised you the most? Did you already know them all, or did you discover a hidden gem today? Scroll down to the comments and tell us your experience, your opinion, your personal story with one of these classics. This channel isn't just about information, it's a community, and your voice is a vital part of it. And if this left you wanting more, you can't miss our previous video where we explore the rarest American cars of the 1950s. Trust me, some of those models look like they came straight out of a dream. Click now and keep traveling with us through the golden decades of motoring. We'll see you there.